Hello. So, purpose of this video is to tell you how to evade police fines in Russia. What to do with the Russian police. Um, this can be in the car. This is the usual problem you have when you're driving in Russia. Is you get stopped by the police and they try to get money out of you. So, what I want to do is tell you how you can evade that, or how you can get away with that. Now, I stopped many times in Russia, maybe 100 times. I don't know. I never counted. But I have one simple system for getting out of a fine, and I'll briefly give you the details of that. Maybe I'll illustrate it with a few examples. I should tell you, the first time I got stopped was driving from Moscow outside to the regions. It was a 5-hour journey, and on the way back, I just bought a new second-hand car, nice this, and I was speeding. Now, what the police like to do, they like to put up signs, hide them a little bit, and then they hide behind the sign, catch you. So you don't see the sign, but it's there. Or they put a radar gun and catch you. So anyway, I got caught fair and square. I was doing 124 in a 40, but it was normally supposed to be 70. But they knocked it back to a 40. So anyway, they caught me. It's fine. They were very pleased to catch a foreigner. Now, the advantage of being a foreigner, this is it. If you're Russian and you're watching this, then you know far more than me about this system. And I would say the system has been going on for 10, 20, 30 years like this. It's always been like this since after the Soviet Union collapsed. Policemen's salary is very low. You should understand that, and they need to elevate their financial status a little bit by taking bribes. Don't think of it like a bribe. Think of it like a roadside fine, a roadside instant fine. Anyway, you don't want to pay this, so this is what you do. Anyway, let me go back to the first time I was stopped. It was very interesting because a nice policeman, and I was stopped. So there's an operation. One young policeman has the radar gun, and there's a senior policeman who has the money. So the young guy came running up after they pulled me over, and they said, 124 kilometers an hour. Fantastic. Okay. And the guy sat me down, smiled in the car, and he said, do you speak Russian? And I said, yes, da. I said, so we exchanged a few words in Russian. It was quite interesting. And he smiled. We talked about, instead of talking about the speed we were doing, we talked about the weather. We talked about England. We talked about Moscow. And he was very interested what I was doing in this town. And anyway, this is part of the thing. Very important. If you're visiting somewhere, you need to pay compliments to where you're visiting. The policemen really like this. They want to know what you're doing, and they're not like policemen where you come from. Probably they'd be very interested if you take an interest in where they live. So the answer is you're visiting as an interested person. You want to see the monastery, see some of the great architecture of the town, or the history, or something. They'd be very pleased to hear that. Anyway, that's an aside. So we made small talk for a little bit. Then they get down to the business. They say, you know, you were speeding. You know, your speed is fantastic. You were doing this. At that point, my Russian starts to get a little bit difficult. I pretend not to understand. I smile at him. Anyway, he gets a bit frustrated. He repeats very clearly, and he says, okay, you were speeding, you did this. And then you understand. This incident was quite funny. So he said, you were doing 124, it was a 40-kilometer zone. That's really bad. Oh my gosh, he's really got me. But at no point should you ever be intimidated. Smile, be relaxed, and don't ever act aggressive. Never start to pick up the phone, never start to challenge them. Not at this stage. So what you do, what I did in this particular instant, I looked at him in surprise, raised my eyebrows as far as I could up to the back of my head, and I said, "What do you mean? What do you mean 124?" He says, "You can't. Are you challenging the radar device?" I said, "No, no, 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 of course not." But I said, I wasn't doing 124. He said, "Yes, you were." I said, "No, no, I wasn't. Look, this is a fast car. This is a Nissan with 6 cylinders." I said, "It's got a big engine." I said, "I was doing much, much more than that." Listen laughed. Yeah, he found that very funny. Anyway, he said how much fine I had to pay. And I said, "Well, that's a lot." I said, "I can't pay that." I said, "I think he asked for something like 200." Anyway, we carried on the small talk. I got back to speaking Russian clearly. And then you slow it down, pretend not to understand, draw out the conversation as much as you can. He talks about a fine, you say, "Yes, yes, yes." And then you say, "What? No, 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 I don't want to pay that. I can't pay that." And he said to me then very clearly, he said, "Well, maybe for the next 3 months you have to walk." He said, "Because, we'll take your license away." I said, "Well, that's terrible." And he said, "Well, what can we do about it?" I said, "I don't know." I said, and he said, "Look," he said, "I'll tell you what I'll do for you." He said, I'll make a reasonable amount," he said. So we talked like this for a while, and so the fine came down to 500 rubles, which is much more manageable. I think it was about £20 at that time. So I said he was a very kind inspector, and I'm very sorry for speeding. I said I don't know the rules of the Russian Federation. That's another thing. They ask you sometimes, "Do you know the rules of the Russian Federation?" You say no. The answer always is no. I don't. I'm a foreigner. I'm a tourist. I'm doing my best. I didn't mean to do it, sir. I really didn't. Um, and they'll lose patience with you. So all of this is going on. You're extending your conversation with them. So in this case, paid him the 500 and off I went. That was the first and last time I ever paid a bribe in Russia. I lived for another 3 years and moved down to Siberia, where the police are even less more understanding. And I met several. One policeman, he caught me. We were skiing in the south, and we were just driving back. It was very cold. Already it was sort of minus 25, minus 30, and we were making our way out of the ski resort down into the forested area close to where we lived. And I overtook a car on a very, very open piece of road. I thought it was fine. And I got pulled in by a police car right at the end of the straight. And he called me over to the car. They were very proud. They showed me a video. Right? And it was me overtaking with my big face, even looking over the steering wheel to see it to overtake. They got everything in perfect detail. They said, "Is this not you?" I said, "It is." I said, "It certainly is." I said, I didn't know it was 40 kilometers an hour." I said, "I overtook as carefully as I could, really carefully." And then you look at them with surprise. And then they start to explain about what you must pay. And this is the point when your Russian should become bad. So I pretended I didn't understand, but I was smiling. And all the time you've been patient, very, very calm and patient. Never act pressured, or never act nervous with them. Because the policemen exactly know how to deal with nervous people, or people who are aggressive. So you act very calm. You keep your hands by your side the whole time. And of course, in this case, they just let me go. They said, "Okay, you can go." They don't want to deal with a foreigner who doesn't understand or won't pay a bribe. They're not sure. It's unknown. Getting money from foreigners, well, they're not sure about how to do that. Plus, they're under an instruction, and this is a federal law. And I'm not sure of the wording of the law, but I've been told it by more than one policeman. They have to be very, very nice to foreigners. It's their job to be nice to foreigners. Does that imply they're not supposed to be nice to local Russians? I hope not. But actually, it's the case that the locals get treated a lot worse. They will pay in most cases because they just take away the documents. If they want to take your documents away, you just say, "I don't care, I don't mind," and they don't want them. They really don't want this trouble because they don't know who you are. And the more you smile, the more you're calm, they're not sure who you are. You could be the first secretary to the British Embassy, Danish Embassy. You could be anybody. You could be a CEO on an excursion. They don't need this trouble because their job is just to collect money on the roadside. And by the way, the police on many roads, they have about 20 minutes or 40 minutes, something like this. They have an allotted time in the day to collect money. And they stop cars that they're very good at stopping cars without the right documents. Maybe they have a problem with the car, maybe they're drunk, but they have a allotted time. If you waste their time, they will just want to get rid of you, unless they think they can milk you for a lot of money. So that's why I say act very calm, make no moves to pay them unless you're actually facing it. Just wear them down because they'll just move on to the next customer or client as they see it. You're a client, you're somebody, they're taxing you. Some of them are even more blatant. They just say, look, we need to collect some money. What can you pay us? You just say nothing. I'm sorry. But this will work. Another time I got stopped in a town outside of, in the country, the provincial town, and I got stopped. I did some illegal maneuver in the town, and they pulled me over, explained my mistake, and I said, "Oh gosh, I really didn't know." Again, this time I didn't decide to annoy him. I decided to talk about his town. He said, "What are you doing here in this town? We need to establish that." I said, "I'm interested in the monastery." I said, "It's got a very, very famous monastery." I said, "I want to see it," and blah, blah, blah. And he went on to tell me about a museum that I should visit, plus a nice restaurant, and don't miss the Kremlin as well. There's a small area. You know, he told me all the details of the town, and I acted as interested as I could. Of course, after that, he let me go. There was no fine. He didn't write me out a ticket because a ticket's not worth it. He's not going to want to write a ticket. He doesn't get any money if he writes a ticket. If they write a ticket, it goes to the office, and anyway, they lose money. So you can compliment the policeman on his wonderful countryside he lives in, town. You should never be rude to them. No. Another time we've been fishing for 4 days in the north of Siberia, in our province, and we were driving back. We had a sackload of fish. There's closed season for fishing. Unfortunately, we've been fishing in this closed season. And had this sackload of fish. And I was driving, and I had 3 colleagues with me in the back. They'd already cracked open the cognac for the journey home, but I was the driver, so I had to stay sober. Anyway, the policeman stopped me. The reason for stopping me is interesting. I didn't have my lights on, and it was it was getting a bit dark. I forgot to flick my headlights on. Now, that's an offence. The fine is very low. It's like 150 rubles, which is like a couple of dollars. Anyway, I didn't know that at the time, but the policeman beckoned to me to come to the car. Don't have any problem. Don't read rights. Never ever read the policeman your rights or claim you have your rights. You don't have any rights in Russia. The policeman has your rights. Anyway, he may be interested in you as a foreigner. So I walked across to his car, sat down. He asked me where I had been, and I told him we'd been fishing on the banks of the river, and we'd caught a lot of fish. I said, a lot of fish. I knew it was illegal to fish. I decided I wasn't going to hide that fact. And I said, he looked at me, surprised, and he thought, oh gosh, I could get you for fishing as well. Maybe that's another department. It's not him. I don't know. And he looked at me and he said, what did he catch? I said, cool. I said, I didn't know you had such big crocodiles in the river. I said, not crocodiles, I mean big fish. They're huge, I said. He laughed. He said, what fish did you catch? I told him. I went through, even the fish that I didn't know, I described them. The color, the tail, the eyes. The policeman would guess the species, and he'd say the Russian name, and I'd say, no. Oh, yes. So we got through the whole sack of fish that I caught. And he was laughing. He found it quite entertaining. Of course, at the end of it, no fine. He didn't even ask me to pay a fine. It was just his 40 minutes of entertainment in his car. And I got back to the car and they were laughing. The guys, they've already finished the cognac, I think, by that time. They were hooting with laughter. They thought I'd paid a lot of money. I said, no, not a penny, sir. Because why should I pay a penny? In that case, I did not play the dumb foreigner who can't speak Russian. I kept the dialogue going. In any case, the method is this. Be very polite at first. Um, if you speak some Russian, it helps. It really helps. So you speak Russian at first. Otherwise, if you don't speak Russian, they'll find a policeman who speaks English and they will just take you to the cleaners. So speak some Russian. And then at some point, after you have to do it very slowly. Don't ever do anything. Be very calm and gentle. Answer all their questions. Start speaking to them. Start asking them gentle questions in Russian. And then when you get them in some dialogue, then the dialogue carries on. At some point, you need to stop comprehending. You need to pretend you don't understand and say, no, no, sorry, can you repeat? And draw out as much time as you can. Keep them talking and get them frustrated. Get them frustrated, and just when you feel them frustrated again, bring back the dialogue. Start talking to them again. Start understanding them again. Sorry, yes, I understand. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, And then keep something interesting to talk to them about. Change the subject completely. Never talk about what you did on the road. Talk about something else completely. About Russia. Talk about bears roaming the streets. Talk about how bad policemen's salary is. No, maybe not that. But do you see the point? And it never fails. After a while, they realize there's no way. There's no way. I'll give you another anecdote. We were driving back with my wife, and I overtook a bus on a double white line. They have the same rules. They have these solid white lines down the road. You can't overtake on them. It was in the forest, and I thought, it's fine. I can see the road ahead, and I just slowly went out and around this bus. Little did I know we were just coming down the hill to a police station. And in the police station, they sit there with a hot cup of tea, something else, with the binoculars looking at the road. And they'd seen this person violating the rules of the Russian Federation by overtaking a public bus on the double white lines. Anyway, they pulled me in, and they were in such glee. They said, come with me, come with me. And they escorted me conveniently into the police station. I should mention, before they escorted me into the police station, they stopped the bus. They stopped the whole bus. They said, these are the witnesses. And they made the bus sit there for 20 minutes while they questioned them. And the people of the bus were looking very annoyed, looking out the window. Strange conversation going on. And then the policeman said, okay, we'll go into the police station and process your papers. And what happened? He stopped on the steps of the police station. I was too willing to go, I think. He was bemused. And he said, look, he said, you do understand the rules of the Russian Federation, don't you? I said, no, I don't. And at that point, he just pushed his hat back on his head and he handed my documents back to me. And he said, please go, please just go. And I made a very embarrassed wave to the bus as I walked past, sort of apologetic. Wasn't quite my fault, but it was my fault, I suppose. And on I went. So you see, I should also add to this short little monologue how to deal with aggressive policemen. There are some. That's more difficult, but you must be extremely calm. And calmness is the point. Never be intimidated. I did have an experience, not in a car, when I was at one of the stations in Moscow, busy station, and I was outside. I met a friend, actually. I was one of the people I was teaching with. I was teaching English at the time. And I went to call my wife and girlfriend. I went to call in the public payphone. They had public payphones. And as I went there, I could see I was being followed by two policemen. They cornered me. They cornered me by this payphone and announced themselves. And they said, please, documents, please. And one of them was asking for the documents. Another one had this Kalashnikov, this very threatening gun, and what he was doing is waving the barrel right in front of me and back again in quite a sort of lazy, threatening manner. It's clearly designed to intimidate. I just ignored it completely. That's what you must do. Don't ever. They're trying. They've identified a foreigner, and they think they're going to jump through and pull out all the dollars to make this to save their life. Anyway, I said nothing at all. And he said, "You need to come with us." I said, "What's wrong with the documents?" He said, "We'll discuss it." I said, "No, there's nothing wrong with passport or visa. Please let me have them back. Come on." That was the end of that. So it's the same. No insistence on rights. Just keep it short and sharp. Don't be intimidated. They were being aggressive, targeting a foreigner. I should say I did pay a second bribe. I confess, it's not. I paid two bribes while I was living in Russia. I lived there for 6 years in total. The other time was crossing the road or the underpass at the road outside of Red Square. There's a road which cuts across Red Square in towards the bridge, goes across the bridge, and you're not allowed to walk across this road. There's an underpass, but sometimes a policeman will stand there and catch foreigners who try to dance across the road. And so there I was, dancing across the road, and I got caught. Now they put a policeman on who speaks good English there because he knows he's catching foreigners. And I pretended not to understand, and I tried all my tricks. And he said to me, "Okay, we go to the police station." I said, "No, okay, let's go. Let's go, no problem." And he said, "Do you understand what you did?" I said, No. He said, "You cross the road wrong, you pay me money." I said, "Oh, okay, I understand that." He said, "Come with me." So I had to follow him to the police station. Anyway, halfway through the underpass, he stopped. He said, "Look," he said, "do you understand? You can finish this now. Just pay me money." I said, "Look, no." I said, "I don't have any money. Let's go to the police station and do the paperwork." I said, because I wasn't well paid at that point. And he then stopped. He said, "Well, look, how much do you have?" I said, "I think I have 40 rubles." He was trying to get 2,000 rubles from me. So I think I have 40 rubles. Look, I said, "It's not a good day for me. I get paid tomorrow, not today." I said, "I have a small teaching job." I said, and I lifted the money out of my hand. I said, "Is this enough?" And I was counting it like this. And he grabbed my hand. He said, "No, not here, not here." He said, "Please, please." And anyway, he took the money and went 40 rubles crossing the road. It took about 20 minutes to sort this charade out. Anyway, what I want to say is they're human policemen, most of them. They augment their wages, which at that time, now I'm not sure what they are, but they were a few $150, $200 a month. There are rumors some policemen don't collect their wages because they're out making money on the bribes. The last small anecdote I can tell you is when we were driving to ski resort. It's a 9-hour drive to the south of where we lived in Siberia to a mountain, and it's a whiteout, it's a blizzard all driving, and the roads are very hard. So we got lost one way. There's 3 of us, 4 of us in the car. We got stopped at the crossroads. There was a policeman there in the middle of this countryside. There was a policeman there, and I actually stopped when I saw him because I thought I need some directions. I could see nothing, couldn't even see the road ahead, and I got out, and he said, "Have you been drinking?" I said, "No, no." I expected him to go through the breath test or something. No, the Siberian breath test is very nice. He said, he turns his cheek to one side, and he says, "Breathe on me." He makes this gesture. So I do that, and he instantly knows I've not been drinking. So he says, "Okay, yeah, you go straight on this road and take a right, and you're up to the mountain." I said, "You're nearly there." He said, "Thank you very much." So I'm very impressed by the Siberian breath test. Anyway, if you have any comments, please leave them below. Um, I'm sure you too can escape paying fines in countries like Russia if you follow this method. This method takes time. You need to be prepared, be patient, be prepared to wait, be interested in the person who is trying to screw you. That's the key. Anyway, good luck, bon voyage, and be careful out there.